Hello, this is Political Forum for Wednesday, December 10th. We welcome as our guest today State Representative John D'Amico of the 15th District. Thank you for appearing on Political Forum today, Representative D'Amico.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you for having me here today on CAN TV.
I'm Louis Mososa, board member here at CAN TV. This is a live interactive program brought to you as a community service by CAN TV. We welcome your questions and comments for Representative D'Amico by calling us at 312-738-1060, the number at the bottom of your screen. During the next 25 minutes, we'll try to get as many of your calls as possible on the air. Representative D'Amico, I understand you were just re-elected for another term. You had an opponent. Congratulations. Would you care to start off by telling us a little bit about your district?
Yeah, thank you very much. We did. We just finished a very good campaign, and the results came out very well for us. We worked extremely hard, and I can tell you during the campaign, we were out knocking on doors every day. We knocked on just under 10,000 doors personally, and the response was very good throughout the district. And my district is the northwest side of Chicago. I take in part of the 39th Ward, the 41st Ward, the 45th Ward, 33rd Ward, 35th, and part of the 50th. And then I also go into Niles, Morton Grove, Skokie, Lincolnwood, a little bit of Park Ridge, and Des Plaines. So I have quite a large district, have to deal with quite a few mayors, and the response went very, very well during the last election, and we won with 64% of the vote.
So with such a diverse district, I would imagine there's a lot of diverse issues. So some of the things you're hearing in Chicago, you might not be hearing in Morton Grove. Going door to door and campaigning all summer, what are some of the bigger issues you were hearing?
You know, the biggest issue, for one, people are very concerned about taxes, and they're very concerned about the economy. I mean, there's people that are really finding it a hard time to find work. So the number one thing that we want to concentrate on is trying to create jobs, try to see what we can do to reduce taxes, and just move Illinois forward, to tell you the truth. I mean, the number one thing that people are concerned about is jobs, and that's what we got to continue to work on.
Would you care to tell us some of the committees you sit on and some interesting pieces of legislation that might have gone through them?
Yeah, I chair the Transportation Vehicles and Safety Committee. I'm on the Veterans Affairs Committee. I am on the Labor Committee. I'm on the Aging Committee and Labor Committee. I'm very passionate about the Transportation Committee that I chair, because a lot of the bills that I happen to work on, I take particular interest in some transportation safety related bills that have had great impact here on the state of Illinois, and not only on our state here, but have been a model for a lot of states around the country. Some of the bills that we've passed here over the years wound up moving on nationwide and having a direct impact on saving teen lives behind the wheel.
I understand that several bans, one on texting while driving and another on handheld cell phone use, you were instrumental in those.
Right, and the texting and driving ban we did a few years ago, and it's been a very effective piece of legislation. When we introduced that bill, these bills, when you look at them today, it looks like it would be a no-brainer that everybody would be in favor of it, but when these bills were introduced, there was a lot of opposition to it. The texting and driving ban, when we debated that on the floor, it was a highly contentious bill, and we were able to get the votes passed, because the bottom line is you want to eliminate as many distractions as possible when you're driving a car. And to be looking at a phone, texting and driving while you're driving is a terrible, terrible distraction. The average text takes about 4 to 5 seconds. And in that time, if you're driving the normal speed limit, you're going to drive the length of a football field. And just think about it. If you're driving 100 yards without looking at the road, nothing good is going to come out of it. When we talk about banning the handheld cell phone bill that passed, this is the first year that it's in effect, and it's had a great impact on safety on our roads again, because there were almost 31,000 tickets issued already this year for first offenders. And when we did the bill, the first offenders, it's a warning. I mean, you're going to pay a ticket price, but there's a warning. It's not a moving violation. Your second, third, and fourth offense are all moving violations. And the drop-off from that 31,000, the second offenders, it's down to roughly 350 tickets for a second offender. So that's huge. That means the bill is working because people are putting the phone down. Now, there's a long ways to go. It's going to take a lot of education to get to everybody, to let them realize how dangerous it is to talk on a handheld cell phone while you're driving. And you know, the proof's going to be in the pudding. The year's almost up. We want to see if you know, accidents have dropped and fatalities have dropped behind the wheel as well. All of these bills coupled together, I think, help make the roads here in Illinois a little bit safer.
What were some of the arguments that the opponents were using for these pieces of legislation?
You know, to tell you the truth, a lot of them, the arguments for one, they thought it was being Big Brother. But, you know, the way I look at it, you know, when you have people losing their lives behind the wheel because of texting and driving or because you're using a cell phone, I think it's our job as an elected official to step in. That's not being Big Brother at all. I mean, it's our responsibility to try and make the roads safe for everybody and just do our part as an elected official to do what's right by the people. That's not being Big Brother at all. But that was primarily, I think, the biggest part of it. What's really interesting about this too is with these bills, there were no filed opposition, and that means when you fill out a witness slip in committee that you're opposed to the bill. Not one group opposed these bills, but yet when it came to the floor, you know, like the cell phone bill, I think that only passed with 62 votes. The texting and driving bill, I think it was only like just around 70. So it's kind of interesting that there was no opposition in committees, no groups opposed to it, but yet when it came to the floor, there were legislators opposed to it. And I can tell you this last campaign that I just went through, I can't tell you how many people complimented the fact that we passed the cell phone bill here in Illinois. There's a lot of support for it, and it's just going to take time, and we'll get there. Hopefully everybody will put the phone down and just get from point A to point B in a safe fashion.
Speaking of putting the phones down, I believe we have a caller on the air. I hope they're not calling from their vehicle.
Yeah.
Hello, caller. You're on the air with Representative D'Amico.
Oh, yeah, I'm not driving right now. I'm actually calling about police cameras, police wearing cameras. There's been a lot of conversation about it. I know in Chicago now it sounds like, you know, CPD is going to be testing it out, and President Obama has talked about funding it nationally. Mm-hmm. Is there any movement on a statewide level to say, I don't know if you can tell all the city police across the state, or at least to get state police to wear cameras as well?
Well, you know what? It's definitely there's conversations about it right now. I've talked to various police groups that are in support of it. You know, time's going to tell. We got to see when we go back into session. We don't go back into session till January, but there definitely is a conversation being had about this. And you know, when you look at it, it protects everybody. It not only protects the citizens, it protects the policemen as well. So I think as with a lot of these police groups that are looking to be in favor of it, I think it's something that could happen.
Thank you for your question. I'd like to remind viewers that you can call at 312-738-1060 with your questions for Representative D'Amico. You're watching Political Forum, a community service of CAN TV, and I believe we have another caller on the line. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. First of all, thank you for passing the law saying that you shouldn't be talking while driving on the highway, on the roads. But my question is, does that include texting? And then also, is there a limit? For example, if someone gets 3 tickets, is their license suspended, or can they just accumulate as many tickets as possible?
Well, right, and yes, texting. The texting ban was already. We put that in place a couple years before the handheld cell phone bill. That took a little more work. There was a little more opposition on the House floor to it for me to get the votes. But it is a moving violation. The texting, if you get a ticket while texting and driving, it's a moving violation. And with the handheld cell phone, it's also a moving violation. But your first ticket is just a warning, but you have to pay the fine. And then every ticket after that is a moving violation. So if you basically have to get 4 tickets, and if you get the 4 tickets and are convicted, yeah, you are going to lose your license. And the reason that we did that too is because we had to put some teeth in the bill so hopefully people will stop this, because there's just been way too many tragedies on the roadway because of the use of cell phones and texting. That we have to try and stop it. You know, a friend of mine just the other day, actually a couple weeks ago, down in Springfield had to go to the emergency room because her husband was in a minor accident. And while they were there was a young girl that was in the emergency room that actually died because she was texting and driving. And, it's just something that we got to continue to push and educate the people how dangerous this is. And hopefully people are going to put the phones down, stop texting and driving, get from point A to point B in a safe fashion, and it's going to be very effective over time.
Thank you very much for your question. I believe we have one more caller. Hi, you're on the air.
Could you tell me the reasoning behind a bill that criminalizes videotaping police while they're doing their duty?
Well, I'm not an authority on it, and I'm not sure where you're going with that. I'm not sure if you were talking about like the citizen taping a police officer like while he's issuing a ticket. I think that's if that is where you're going, that's something that may get changed very shortly. I think I'm not positive on it. I am not the authority on that bill.
Thank you very much for your question. I believe your first bill 10 years ago when you were taking office, you were heightening penalties for inmates who were setting fires in Cook County Jail and putting the lives of other inmates and the guards at risk. So I see you have a dedication to safety. What kind of sparked your interest in transportation safety and safety in general?
Well, what sparked my interest in transportation-related bills, I had just been elected, and one of the things that it was an unfortunate incident, that something that happened in my district where two young boys had a tragedy, and it was a terrible accident. Two young boys lost their lives, and some parents came to me and asked me to try and increase the driving age to 18. And we actually tried to do it, but I'm going to tell you this: that bill never even made it to committee, but it was probably the most effective piece of legislation that I ever introduced, because with nobody taking a vote on it, we wound up negotiating the graduated driver's license, which our graduated driver's license here is one of the strictest in the nation. And the first 4 years that it was put in place reduced teen fatalities by almost 50%. That's huge, 50% reduction in teen fatalities behind the wheel. And that model, our graduated driver's license that we did here in the state of Illinois, wound up being a model for the country. And our Secretary of Transportation in Washington, D.C., Ray LaHood, invited me 3 times to speak about what we were doing in Illinois, because this is one of the things where Illinois was leading the nation in creating the roads to be as safe as possible and reducing accidents and fatalities. And I was honored that they called me and wanted me to talk about it, to see what we were doing here. And because of these 3 meetings that we've had across the 2 in D.C. and 1 here in Illinois, that's what led to a lot of these other states adopting the same graduated driver's license that we have here in Illinois. And I'm very, very proud of that, and I was able to be a part of that.
And I think another piece of transportation related legislation that's great for drivers is the sign and drive bill. Can you describe that? And it's a great bill. I used to always get my license confiscated.
Right. The sign and drive bill, which was a bill that I worked on this last session, it basically, it's just a common sense bill, to tell you the truth. When you get pulled over for a normal traffic stop, and nothing major, not a DUI, no major accidents or anything, a normal traffic stop for like a stop sign, red light, speeding, as long as it's not excessive. You can sign and drive and keep your license. This has become a major problem, not only for the clerks in all the counties, because what was happening too is a lot of these licenses were getting lost. And the way you need your license today with traveling and everything like that, it's very hard to even get on an airplane with a ticket. So it's a lot better that if everybody would be able to keep their license. That's what we did. So you can just sign, the police officers let you sign, keep your license, and be on your way. And you have to sign that you're going to appear in court or just plead guilty.
Thank you for that. I believe we have another caller on the line. Hi, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, Representative. I don't know if you deal with this, but I'm concerned about the highways during the winter months. And in terms of keeping, the snow and everything just clear, basically, and ice. And I just want to know, do you know what are the state's plans to make sure that the highways will be safe this winter?
Well, all I can tell you, obviously it all depends on the snowfall and the ice. Last year was an extremely bad winter. It was very hard to keep up with keeping people working. But I am in constant contact with IDOT to try and make sure that our roads are plowed and salted to the best of their ability. Sometimes it really depends on the time of the snowfall as well. When we get these snowfalls in the middle of rush hour, it's hard for the plows to get out there and actually plow. But it's something that we are definitely in contact with, and we're always looking for new ideas on anything we can do to improve it. But yes, that is something that I'm in touch with, and we try to do it to the best of our ability. And that's why the state hires they call them snowbirds, but they hire them to add more truck drivers in the wintertime only, just to keep up with the plowing that's going on.
Thank you for your question. I believe we have another caller on the line. Hello, caller. You're on the air with Representative D'Amico.
I'm sorry, I'm calling back. We had a technical difficulty and I was cut off. I'm calling about the criminalizing of videotaping police in the course of doing their duties in the public space. Apparently, the state of Illinois now has a bill on the governor's desk that requires a felony conviction if you're caught taping the police in the course of doing whatever it is that they're doing. This is similar to a bill that required a 15-year felony sentence if you were convicted of videotaping the police. Seems to me, given what's happened in New York and other places where police actually have been choking people to death, and the only guy who got indicted for that was a guy doing the videotaping of that choking, that bill, if you supported it, would be very unfortunate for that thing to go through. So I'd like to know if you supported it. If you didn't, what are your thoughts on it? Thank you.
Right, and that is something that has been brought up, and that is something that we are going to be probably working on. It is a very, very tough issue, but it is something that has been brought up, and I'm not the sponsor of that legislation, but we will be discussing it in the next General Assembly, I think.
I'd like to remind viewers you're watching Political Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm Louis Mososa, board member here at CAN TV, and we welcome your questions and comments at 312-738-1060 for Representative D'Amico. Representative D'Amico, another hot issue nowadays is minimum wage. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm in favor of the minimum wage. I've been in favor of it. I think it's something that we need to do. We need to do whatever we can to boost people up, let them earn a little more money. Things here in the city and the state are very, very expensive, and anything we can do to help everybody make a little bit more money, I'm in favor of raising the minimum wage. That's it.
What are some other issues you foresee coming before your committee in the upcoming year?
It's going to be very interesting. This is a new year coming up, new General Assembly. We're going to have a new governor. It's hard to say what issues are going to be coming up, but we're just going to have to wait and see, and discuss, see what direction our governor wants to go in as well.
I know you have a very active constituent office. What are some of the common themes you're hearing or issues that constituents are facing nowadays?
Like I said earlier, the same complaints that we hear in the office are the same complaints that we heard on the campaign trail. And number one is jobs. Taxes are a top priority, and they want to make sure that they're getting their city, county, and state services as best as they can. And that's what we try to do. We try to cut through as much red tape as possible so we can be a service to the constituents in my district and anybody else that calls the office as well.
Some viewers might be watching, but they might not be inclined to contact their state legislator. What would you advise someone like that who does have issues but has not reached out?
I advise everybody, especially in my district, if you ever have a question, if you have an issue, please contact my office. Eileen Kim works with me in the office. She does a great job, and we'll try to help. Now, not every issue always gets resolved the way you want it, but we're going to try. We're going to try to at least, like I said earlier, cut through the red tape so we can get an answer for you. Sometimes, I understand how people get tied up and they can't get the correct answer or any answer, and we'll try to provide that for them. So I would encourage anybody to always contact their legislator or senator to try and help them out.
How's your relationship with your aldermen in the city of Chicago? Sometimes we've heard from state legislators that they get contacted about issues that are usually more city issues. It seems like those are when people are more inclined to call and try to petition their government to do something. So you have a great working relationship with the aldermen?
I do. I actually share an office with Alderman Lorino in the 39th Ward. We have a great relationship there. And you know what? We work well together because I don't only take state legislative requests. I mean, I try to help the people that live anywhere in my district, whether it's a city issue, county, or state issue. We try to help whatever we can, whichever way we can, to resolve the issue. And we have a great working relationship, not only with Alderman Lorino, but all the aldermen that I represent and work with.
We have just a few moments left. I'd like to remind viewers they can call us at 312-738-1060 with any questions for Representative D'Amico. Representative D'Amico, what are some of your personal goals for this next upcoming session? What would you like to see accomplished in the state?
You know what? I mean, personally, for me, as far as legislation goes, I want to continue working on traffic safety and just continue to try and work to bring down accidents and fatalities on our roadway as best as we can. I mean, I'm not going to be satisfied till we have 0 fatalities, but that's a long, long ways off if it'll ever get there. But each year, little by little, it keeps creeping down, and that's a positive thing. We've made some great inroads with some of the bills that we've already passed, and I want to continue working on that. And keep that going.
Are there any final comments you'd like to make? I see we are running out of time here.
You know what? I want to thank CAN-TV, Louis. I want to thank you for having me on your show here today, and I thank CAN-TV for everything that they do by having shows like this and getting it out there to the public so the public can get informed about what's going on, city, state, or countywide.
Again, if you need to reach Representative D'Amico at his office, feel free to call 773-736-0218 or reach out to him on the information on your screen. Representative D'Amico, thank you very much for appearing on Political Forum.
Thank you very much, Louis. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, the viewers, for your calls. Our telephone technician has been Sylvia. Political Forum is brought to you as a community service by CAN-TV. Please join us again for Political Forum next Wednesday. Thank you.